Jessica, is it good? Can you see
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Um, so yeah, today we're going to be covering social diversity, gender and ethnicity, and this is something that's really close to my heart personally. I think that diversity is really big, and it's important to be, mindful of other people. And no matter where you work or where you choose to work, it's really important to be all-encompassing and making sure that you are open-minded and there for other people. Okay. So the main things that we are going to be focusing on today is going to be, the fact that you're respectful of differences in other people's backgrounds and beliefs in local communities and the world at large. Using social or cultural differences to help expand the concept of what is normal and use this to generate new ideas. So as the world is changing, it's even more important to kind of be mindful of these things. And we are all moving towards having this idea of like what it really means to be all inclusive and making sure that you're taking account of other people. So we're going to be covering sex versus gender and what that means. So when it comes to sex characteristics, that's the biological differences and the physiological differences between men and women. They're best identified through DNA. And then female chromosome carries two X chromosomes, while a male human carries an X and a Y. And then the intersex definition is the person born with a combination of male and female biological traits. And then when it comes to gender characteristics, this is what you identify yourself as, whether that be female, male, gender fluid, non-binary, or gender non-conforming. So this is really the physio-social division of labor in society. So not the biological and physiological differences. This is what you identify as. And it's the rejection of traditional him and her categories. And it can be both a social and political statement. So what I suggest too is when you do meet somebody new, just say your pronouns. So when I meet somebody new, I usually try to say, hi, I'm Aria. My pronouns are she, her, hers. What are your pronouns? And I think that shows that you're respectful of another person. And that really helps kind of bring about the idea that like I am totally open to like who you are and you're respectful of who I am. So that's like a great way to kind of ask that while being respectful, especially in the workforce too. Or you'll probably see a lot of professors put their pronouns underneath their titles when they sign their name too when they're sending you emails, and that's another way to also include that. And then this is just kind of like the female gender explained and the male gender, and these are the stereotypes that usually come with it. So for women, it's like women are nice, friendly, socially skilled, and sensitive. Men are dominant and assertive, but you see the problem with this is it puts people in a box. So, if you're a woman and you're assertive, then people might be looking at you like, wait, what? And so we kind of need to step away from this idea of what it means to be a typical woman or a man in our society. So gendering in the workplace, there's still inequalities that exist in the modern work environments, when it comes to what's appropriate for a man and a woman. So thinking about, different examples of what's a male job or a female job, if you can think of any of these and put it in the chat, that would be great. Just kind of want to hear what you all have to say. So go ahead and if you can think of any jobs that you feel have like the stereotype of being a male job or a female job, you can go ahead and put that in the chat. Nurses and teachers, yeah, that's Really true. Those are typically looked at as female jobs, unfortunately. And, I know plenty of my male friends who are excellent nurses, and, okay, yeah, construction is predominantly male. And then car technician for male, and then female makeup. Yeah, these are good ones. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Hairstylist. Yeah. Okay. Um, So the pay gap increases for both women and men of color. So there's still, economically speaking, too, the report was shown that there's a 20% wage gap between men and women in the United States. So it's estimated that based on the rate of pay from 1960 to 2015, women are projected to reach pay equality until 2059. So we still have a ways to go. And so yeah, pretty unfair. They go backwards? Okay. So workplace differences between those who identify as male or female. This is just adding to some of the ones that you all mentioned too. In arts and entertainment, women were 60% of the bestsellers, yet captured only 2.7% of the earnings. When it came to sports, um, at Division One schools, female coaches earned 68% of what males made, one of the largest pay gaps in the study. For business, women on the boards outperformed companies with all male boards by 26%. And then with law in 2012, women were 46.7% of law school graduates, yet only 15% of equality partners and 5% of managing partners. So as you can see, there's still a lot of inequality and workplace differences. Okay, so now that we've discussed all of the bad things, how can we have greater equality, and how can that be achieved in the workplace for everyone is the biggest question. So when it comes to like family career development mentoring from one or both parents and expectations of career importance. So personally speaking too, I think for me, school was always really big, and both my parents had jobs in different fields. And so they kind of encouraged that idea of, you got to find what's good for you and go for it. And I think that that was very encouraging, and it makes a difference when, parents encourage that. Workplace, flexibility in negotiating and fulfilling expectations in both private and personal life. So creating that work-life balance, which can be kind of hard, but also understanding that employees have a life outside of work is very important. And then education. So advocacy and expectations for females from both parents, educators, and administrators to achieve higher education goals. So some of the times, you do see that females sometimes don't get that encouragement. Other things are, and this is more prevalent in like older times where it's like, you're the caregivers, and some of that's still there. And so really pushing for females to also get into higher education and have these goals. And yeah. Okay, so just some questions, and I really like getting all of your insight about this. So how would you define the future workplace? And what I mean by this is, do you still see in the future workplace that, there's going to be issues when it comes to like these female jobs versus male dominated jobs, or do you think people are going to be more accepting of just all jobs for everybody? So you can go ahead and take a minute and kind of put that in the chat and what you think about that. Or you could just put like, do you see the workplace changing? Yes or no. That might be another way to do it. Yes. Okay. So a lot of people did answer yes, changing. So that's good. Yes, but slowly. A diverse workplace, but still with gender and diversity issues. Yeah, change is slow, and as much as we want there to be greater diversity, sometimes that's harder based on the past, yes, but slow. In the future, I think there's still going to be gender diversity issues, but less. I hope it does change, and I think it will be a slow process. Certain industries will be faster than others. Yeah, I think so too. I hope it does change as well. Thank you. Um, and then do you believe, oh, well, we kind of answered this. So thank you. Okay. So now jumping into culture, gender and the next topic of ethnicity are interconnected with culture. So this is a good time to do that a fun little global literacy quiz. Um, it's not like a real quiz, you aren't all being graded. So it's just like a fun thing to try. The Council on Foreign Relations actually developed this quiz to see global literacy for college students. And of the 1,200 students who tested out the survey, only 30% earned a passing grade. And I think that's why it's important. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to put the questions up.
If you need me to, I can. I can
That was
click.
great.
I'll go ahead and do that right now.
Thank you.
Boom.
Perfect. So, in which of these countries is the majority of the population Muslim? Is it South Africa, Armenia, India, or Indonesia?
And all of the answers will be anonymous, so it's not like you'll be called out if you get the answer incorrect or anything.
Mhm. I don't even think I remember this one, to be honest.
And then number 5 is a multiple choice question. Good. Okay, I see some people doing that.
hmm I don't know about you, Jessica. When I was looking at these, I was like, oh my gosh, these are tricky.
Yeah. Some of them I genuinely didn't know. But yeah, it was just nuts to see. I think number 4 was the one that surprised me the most, and I'm also not really good at history. That's why I went into counseling. um, but so that's why like number 5 and just all of this, it just opened my eyes to see how much I really don't know of the world and the things that like our country is involved with and everything.
Yeah, I can relate.
Mhm.
Same with the history.
Yeah.
Wasn't for me. Mm-mm.
If anyone here in this is a history major, props to you, or
Yeah.
enjoys the history piece. Props to you guys. So it looks like we're just waiting on two more.
Okay, maybe like 20 seconds.
And good comment, Ryan. He mentioned in the chat, I do not know when it will be 50-50 in terms of gender diversity in the workplace. The gender workplace has been getting more diversive, but it's happening at a slower pace than what we want it to be. Yes.
Definitely.
And I think we are since we are all kind of in higher ed right now, there is a difference in that kind of culture in itself, because higher ed in itself is a culture, and we're most of the time tend to be more open and wanting to see the diversity in there. But we as all can see, it's not the same in every other, workplace or, type of industry to go into. So yeah, some places it is going to be a much slower pace.
Hmm.
All right, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, 11. And all right, would you like me to close the quiz?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Perfect.
So go right ahead.
So number one, I know that was tricky. So which of the countries is a majority, or in which of these countries is a majority of the population Muslim? It's actually Indonesia. That was the one that I got wrong too. Um, so yeah, that was tricky. And then number two, which language is spoken by the most people in the world as their primary language? So that's English. Um,
It is
which
actually
is it?
it is actually
Oh,
Mandarin.
Mandarin.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, never mind. See, that was the one that I always get wrong. Number three, that one is actually A, Canada. Which country is the largest trading partner of the United States based on total dollar value of goods and services? Um, four, so approximately which percent of the United States federal budget is spent on foreign aid? So that is A, 1%. Um, and then which country in the United States is bound by treaty to protect if they are attacked, and you're supposed to select all that apply. So it's A, Canada, C, Japan, um, G, Russia, and H, Korea. So all of those, which is interesting. Okay, so thank you all for doing that. Let me figure out how to close this. Okay, perfect. So that was fun, and it's always nice to kind of check like how much you know. Okay. So now we're gonna be looking at race versus ethnicity. So race, it sorts people into ethnic groups according to perceived physical, behavioral, and human characteristics. And associates difference of power, privilege with these characteristics, and social ranking among different groups. So by defining someone by their race is not only an outdated category, but it's also based on a history of exclusion and prejudice. And in one of my sociology classes, one of my professors was telling us like race is basically a made up construct. If you think about it, the only race that we all are is like we're a human race. It's so that's to make sure that when you're referring to someone's ethnicity and there's a difference with that. Ethnicity is when you're asking about, you know, a person's background or where a person self-identifies as their ethnicity. So that's not race. So ethnicity allows people to self-identify with groupings of people based on, you know, commonalities. So that's language, history, nation of region or origin, customs, ways of being, religion, physical appearance, names, and or um, I cannot say that word. Jessica, can you help me?
Genealogy and ancestry.
Thank you.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's the difference between race and ethnicity. So now I have a YouTube video, and as you're kind of watching this, just kind of think about like what kind of feelings come up, and have you ever heard anybody ask this question? And then Jessica, just let me know if you can hear this.
Will do. Perfect.
Hi there.
Hi.
Nice day, huh?
Yeah, finally, right?
Where are you from? Your English is perfect.
San Diego. We speak English there.
Oh, no. Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Orange County, but I never actually lived there.
I mean, before that.
Before I was born.
Yeah, like, well, where are your people from?
Well, my great-grandma was from Seoul.
Korean. I knew it. I was like, she's either Japanese or Korean, but I was leaning more towards Korean.
Amazing.
Hamshasina. There's a really good teriyaki barbecue place near my apartment. So I actually really like kimchi.
Cool. What about you? Where are you from?
San Francisco.
But where are you from?
No, I'm just American.
Really? You're Native American?
No, just regular American. Oh, well, I guess my grandparents are from England.
Oh, well. Ah, Governor! What's all this then? Top of the morning to you. Let's get a small tea. Double, double, toil and trouble. On the gap, beware Jack the Ripper. Bloody hell! Pip, pip, cheerio! I think your people's fish and chips are amazing.
You're weird.
Really? I'm weird? Must be a Korean thing.
Okay. So yeah, have you ever been asked this question or ever heard someone asking it? I know that I have, and honestly, it always just makes me kind of cringe because I'm like, oh no, this can, yeah. So I guess you can answer in the chat, like, have you ever been asked this question or have you heard somebody answering it? And then why is it hurtful?
I know for me, that video, it makes me laugh because it just hurts so much that it's like, okay, buddy, like leave it alone. Like, what are you not understanding here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, people are answering like, yeah, that's super awkward. Yeah, and basically it's like, you know, you're othering a person and assuming that they're not from there. So yeah. And it's exaggerated to kind of illustrate the point about just like how cringeworthy it can be. Yeah. So yeah, the point that I was trying to get at is, you know, oh, we got another one. Don't want to miss it. Let's see. Yeah, I think people think that American equals white. And America's so diverse, and there's so many people from all over the place. Yes, awkward, going off of stereotypes. Yeah.
And a lot of times, kind of what the guy was presenting, if anyone's ever heard of like microaggressions. So even small things like saying like, no, where are you really from? It's actually a term of like, you're persisting and kind of forcing the person to think like, okay, I'm not really from here. And you're being kind of aggressive towards them that way. So I think she, the gal did a fun job in the video of like sassing him right back and not letting the microaggression get to her. But a lot of the times, those kind of things do get to people, and it happens to all people, whether, you're all different colors or whatever you may be, LGBTQ plus communities, all of those kinds of things. It's called microaggressions. And I can put, something in the chat box about that, like a link about it. But yeah, I don't know if you wanted to speak on anything about that too, Aria.
Yeah, I think that, like Jessica said, like the girl did a good job of just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna sass him back. But sometimes, we don't do that, and especially when you're put in that situation. And I think that, I'm trying to challenge myself too. Like if I see it happen, where it's like, if you see it and you feel comfortable enough to be like, if somebody's doing it to somebody else, just like, that's not cool. Like what you did right there, that was a microaggression. And I think that, over time, those microaggressions can accumulate. So it's really about noticing it and making sure that like the more people are educated about it, I think the bigger difference it will make, personally. Yeah. So thank you. So yeah, differences should be celebrated, respected, and understood. We don't have to be a part of, a culture, ethnicity, religion, orientation to be able to spread kindness and love to one another is kind of the takeaway that I want us all to leave with. Okay, so now we're going to be moving towards empathy, listening and mirroring and what that means. And I think these two topics go hand in hand. Okay, so the primary things that we're going to be focusing on when it comes to empathy is knowing the difference between empathy and sympathy. So when you are using empathy, you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes, versus sympathy is actually feeling sorry for what someone is going through. So knowing when to use one approach versus another becomes really important. And then 2 is connecting with others by being a good listener, asking questions to help understand what the other person is feeling, being honest and mirroring positive nonverbal communication to build trust. And yeah, so just like I was saying, there's the difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is, your ability to care about another person or feel sorry for what they're going through. It's a conceptual understanding of someone else is going through, versus empathy is your ability to actually understand and share feelings of a person going through someone else. So really putting on their shoes and trying to understand what that person is feeling. And then what is empathy like in the workplace? So empathy is, again, walking in someone else's shoes, and it's important in the workplace to understand, what are your coworkers going through? What are the needs of your customers? And it really helps you fit in and learn to work in that work culture. And I think this is the difference between having exceptional customer service and then just being okay at your job. When you really try to understand what someone else is going through, that's when that connection forms, and that becomes very important. So recent scientific studies have also explained this concept of empathy. And then I have a really good video that kind of explains this concept that Jessica shared with me, and I want to share it with all of you. Okay.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection, Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Okay, so yeah, I love that video personally. I think that, it does a really good job of explaining what it means to be empathetic versus sympathetic. So sympathetic, as you could see, they're like, oh, you want a sandwich? And versus like empathetic is like, okay, you're in the start place. Let me see how you're feeling. And that's what you do. You're there for someone else and you go into that place of, okay, what can I do to make you feel better? But also it's understanding that sometimes, saying, I don't know what to do is a lot better than someone saying, it's going to be okay. It's not that big of a deal. Because then that's almost you devaluing someone instead of accepting and understanding what they're going through. So yeah, I think that, being empathetic is a lot different than being sympathetic. And that did a really great job of explaining that. So thank you, Jessica, for sharing that. And I hope you all enjoyed that too. Okay, so what does mirroring have to do with workplace skills? You can build common ground quickly with coworkers when you use empathy. Physical mirroring helps, build that trust and that rapport. And it helps connect with that organizational culture. So an example of this too is like, when someone has something important that they're trying to tell you, nonverbals become really important, right? And mirroring as well. So if someone's trying to tell you something and you have your arms crossed like this, they're not going to really want to tell you what's going on because you're almost closed off. Or if you're busy like doing something else, how are they going to feel okay to be able to, become vulnerable and tell you what's going on? So that's, the difference between that is like, okay, you're paying attention, you're really listening, you're there, you're not focused on other things, and you're really making sure that you are empathetic. Okay, so how to mirror. So mirror the body language and nonverbal communication of others to create mutual understanding. So practicing, even when you observe like two people interacting, and I think this just comes with like the psychology background that I have. I'm always like, people watching is so cool, right? But like you can even tell like if someone is having a conversation and it's serious, the body language and the tone, most people like kind of resemble each other when they're talking. Or like if something's funny, then you can also kind of see that. versus like their body language will be a little bit different, a little bit lighter, they're laughing. And I thought this was cool too. I saw a study where it's like, if you yawn, another person will yawn too. So I don't know if you like notice in your classes if one person's yawning, then like another person will do, and pretty soon like the whole room is just yawning. So that's kind of fun too. So yeah, this can create mutual understanding. If they're not, then it can also, you know, on the opposite end, make you feel disconnected or misunderstood. So how does this apply to the new world of work? In the gig economy now, it's more necessary to form partnerships or projects for jobs quickly. And this is the ability to form rapport and establish relationships and connections for prospective partnerships. And that becomes really important when you're working, because, you know, you're going to be doing different tasks and things together, and teamwork is very important. And if you don't have that, you know, mutual respect or understanding, then you're not really going to be able to get those tasks done. The other thing that this mentions is that, you know, with the rise of individuals on the autism spectrum, mirroring may not come naturally to all people. So don't become too reliant on mirroring to assess other people's abilities. I think that highly intelligent people can have difficulty reading emotions of others, but they still work well in project teams. So also being mindful of that. And then this is a little video of what not to do. And it's a little bit exaggerated.
Top of the morning to you.
Hi.
Can you imagine a more perfect day in every single little way?
Actually, yes. Keep it professional, Jane. Keep it professional.
Hey, I'm sensing something coming from you.
You are?
Is that excitement? Are you excited for the premiere of Millionaire Matchmaker tonight? It's my favorite show.
No, I'm not excited because it's the season premiere of Millionaire Matchmaker.
Fine, to be such a hater. You know, reality TV is a very important part of some of our lives.
Oh, I'm not hating on reality TV.
Okay.
Sorry. You know how I've been saying that Edward's been feeling a little bit under the weather?
Of course.
Well, we got his blood results back this morning, and we found out that it's terminal. He's got days. The end is near. Why are you looking at me like that?
Like what?
Like you're watching Anchorman or Blades of Glory or like any Will Ferrell movie?
I didn't even realize. I'm so sorry. Please continue.
Okay. I just can't help but feel that, you know, there's just so many things that we haven't done yet, like walking in this one part that he really. Okay, you're doing it again.
Sorry, I was just thinking about all those socially stunted millionaires on the show. It was like, I have all this money, I have so many cars to drive around on. Like, it's so entertaining. But what you're saying is very important on a very real human level for both you and Edward. He's a very special ferret.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. I just knitted Edward a sweater. I picture going to the park with him. Okay, that's enough.
But, hey, would you say Edward is a ferret with her friends?
Excuse me?
This coffee. Is this ferret trade?
What?
Us ferrets allowed in the wall. Oh my God, that's a good one. I should write that down before I forget. Oh, I don't.
You are so handsome. So kind. You are such a good listener. I love you, Edward. I will always love you, Edward. Always.
What's up?
Okay, so yeah, that was a cute little video. I don't know about you, but I think that ferret is adorable. Um, yeah, and so he obviously was making inappropriate jokes, doing things that you're not supposed to do. So didn't allow her, to feel comfortable, obviously, and that's the opposite of what you should do. Empathy and active listening. So another aspect of empathy is the ability to listen attentively, which means you're not interrupting in the middle of someone's sentence. You're letting them finish a complete thought before commenting. When you do comment, it should be to ask clarifying questions and checking for understanding, such as "it sounds like," or "have I understood you correctly?" So this is something that, I think that requires work, but I think that it's one of those skill sets that's really good to have. So listen to understand instead of to respond. And at this point, you can expand the conversation, but it's always with the intent of letting the other person convey a message. It's not for you to dominate the conversation. So really letting the other person say what needs to be said, and also being patient, because sometimes when you're having a difficult conversation, it takes a lot for a person to tell you how they're feeling. And so, yeah. So some closing remarks. If you have any further questions or you need any additional support, Jessica and I are here, so you can feel free to contact us. Those are our emails. And then if you need the video recording, Jessica will have that. And then you can also come visit us at the Career Center virtually right now, just because of everything, but we are open over the summer. And thank you so much for attending. It's been great to see familiar names and stuff. Makes me excited. And we all wish you luck on finals. You got this. We have these cute little things for you, but I'm sure y'all will do great. And then I'll go ahead and include the links for the worksheet and then the quiz. So let me stop sharing real quick. Jessica, do you have anything else you want to add?
You covered pretty much everything. Thank you to everyone. If you need the recordings, or if you attended all of them or you missed one of them and you need the recording for one of them to get the certificate, please email me. I'll put my email in the chat box just in case. So that way I can get that to you. I think they're designed and ready to go. If anyone is needing the green certificate, also email me as well. So we have a contact over in Student Orgs and Leadership. So I hope you guys enjoyed, yeah, this was so fun and a good kind of positive way to end this semester, with only 1 week left. And, Ari and I really do wish you guys the best of luck with finals and everything, especially with the weirdness that this semester gave us.